Hey, you've reached Uniquely Cindy here. I am out in the country and I discovered this very unique cemetery. As you can see, it goes to the back there, not very wide, and you'll see a wooden picket fence. It ran down the front here and it goes all the way back. I don't want to make y'all dizzy. To the end where you see the trees there, and it runs down the side of the cemetery. And then of course where you see my car, there's a little roadway cut in here. Now this cemetery is very unique because I'm going to answer a question that showed up in one of the forums the other day. Plus there's graves out here going from 1800s to the 2000s, and it's just an interesting little cemetery. Here we have Jesus, a statue of Jesus here. It's a nice statue, and it seems to be where the gates of the cemetery might have been at one time. I looked around on the outside of what's left of the fencing. I could not find a name. So I do believe this was a community cemetery. Maybe at one time started out as a family cemetery. There are joiners, battles, and Bowdens, I think, out here in more numbers than 2 or 3. And then there's different family names. There's some unusual graves out here in the layout of them. A lot of these gravestones out here are handwritten. You'll see right here in front of me is the vault top graves. And they're the rounded off slab graves, and there'll be a little bit, this one's sunk down into the ground, but there's some sticking out of the ground along the sides there that makes it look sort of like a vault. And this is handwritten slabs that was put on top of them. This is a George, let me see if I can step over here. George Williams, born in 1933 and passed away in 2000. And this is a Gigi, whoop, I'm upside down. Let me do that one right. This is an Olivia Williams, born in 1915 and passed away in 1919. As you can see, it is handwritten. Now, some of the handwritten stones out here I can't read because they have worn off over time. There was a nice little stone over here in the corner. A lot of pretty yellow flowers out here for spring. And I thought this was a pretty stone. It says Rufus Jordan, born in 1900, passed in 1947. And the epitaph reads, "Hope to see my pilot face to face." Hope to see my pilot face to face. So I don't know if they're speaking of Jesus or if they're speaking if Rufus Jordan was a pilot. So if you know, comment below. Beautiful trees out here in this cemetery. And here you have some more. Some of these, the etching is in deep. Here we have Jesse Bodie, 1902 to 1950. Now several of the graves out here, this is a Carrie Bodie Williams, 1903, 1977, but at the foot of her grave it says Hunter Service. I do not know what that means. If you know what the word Hunter Service on top of these graves mean, please let me know in the comments. There are several graves out here marked Hunter Service at the foot of the grave. And that's the first time I've seen that. I'm assuming it has something to do with something around here, maybe with the game wardens. I don't know. So if you know, let me know so I can be a little more educated. This is the Bodie families. They go back to the born in the 1800s, passed away in the mid 1900s. And then out here also you'll see several of the field stones. My experience with field stones is they're stones that was put there to mark graves, but there's never been another headstone added. Usually if they add another headstone, the field stone is moved to the foot of the grave. There are a lot of the vault-topped graves out here with the placards, handwritten placards on top of them. And here We have some that I could not read the etchings on them because they've just worn away. I think this was the closest one I got to reading. And it says, looks like Marty, and that's all I can read. And then we have some more over here. Now, this brings me to a question that was brought up in some of our chats the other day on one of the boards. And I want you to look at these graves over here. If you'll look closely, you'll see they're kind of going every which way. And as we go through the cemetery, you'll see that we have graves that we don't know which way this grave's facing. And this grave, the etching, the writing is facing here, and where I'm from, usually the side that the writing is on is the side the person is buried on. But if you look closely, you'll see that the back of this tombstone, there's a mound there. It's not sunken into the ground like the areas around it. There's kind of a small mound. And it's the same with this one. Now, you cannot make out the writing on this one. I could tell it's a horn. I can kind of see that they were born maybe in 1902 and passed away in 1921, it looks like. Don't hold my feet to the fire on that one. And this one's got some beautiful scroll work. This one looks like to be professionally done. It's a Francis horn, born in 1823 and passed away in 1911. But you see, these graves are facing this way, but appears to be no grave here. But if you look behind it, you can see the outline of mounds. So it would appear that the graves are back there. And over here, you have this grave that's coming that way. This grave's going that way, but then we got a grave here also coming this way. But I think that this tombstone, the headed tombstone, actually has been flipped, because when you look at the grave here, it looks as if this part here would have been facing this way. And this is Betsy, and that's really all. 1897 is when she was born, and the rest of it is sunken into the ground, so that's all we can read. Now, coming back to these graves over here, once again, they're pretty well, this one is pretty well worn off. We see Isabel Horn, and that's about all I can make out on it. And here we have a death date of 1923. And I loved what was written on this. It says, God's finger touched him and he slept. So we know this is a grave of either a young man or a full adult. But I love the epitaph, God's finger touched him and he slept. Now, the question that came up in our forum was, I don't want to be disrespectful, so how do I know if I'm walking on a grave or not? Unless you're in a well-kept cemetery, graveyard, private cemetery, or a city cemetery. If you're in these little country cemeteries or a city cemetery that nobody just maintains anymore, you really don't know. Because, for example, what I just showed you, these graves are all facing different directions. And the thing is, we try not to step on graves. It's just respect. That's all it is. We are respecting the memory of that person and respecting the family of those people, the generation families. As a cemetery explorer like myself, and many other cemetery explorers, let me clarify that, we're in this to bring remembrance to these families and to cemeteries. So we're not going to come out here in these cemeteries and disrespect graves. I've picked up flowers and put them back on. I've cleaned graves off, just out of respect for the families that are here. Some of them's families are no longer alive, depending on where you're at and how old these graves are. So We're not here to be disrespectful. And if we step on a grave, if I inadvertently step on a grave, I'm not doing it to be disrespectful. It happens because I really didn't know. I was in a cemetery that you'll see posted this week sometime, where honestly the graves were covered up by pine straw, and I didn't know I was standing on a grave until I got to cleaning the pine straw off. So don't think that cemetery explorers are here to be disrespectful. We're not. We're here to preserve the history of that cemetery. Moving on, we have Austin Gray here. He was born in 1840 and he passed away in 1904. It says, asleep in the arms of Jesus. We have Carrie Boney, 1894, 1974. Mary Ann Norwood, 1920, 2001. So there is a good mixture of graves out here as to the era, the span that they cover. Here we have a baby's grave. His name's Leroy, 1896, and he passed away in 1895. This one's got some pretty artwork on it. This is the grave of Maggie, wife of Essex Horn, born in 1864, passed away in 1888. She was young. Now I've seen this epitaph before. Not lost, blessed, but gone before, where we shall meet to part no more. And if you'll look here at the top of the grave, you'll see the anchor and the ivy. Very, very pretty. And here, this was a sad grave to me. We have a veteran here. This is his tombstone, Ashley Ricks, North Carolina. I do not know what all this stands for. PFC, looks like QMC. World War I, September 1891, passed away in April of 1960. Thank you for your service and thank your family. Here we have William Lee Battle, North Carolina, CPEHOCO. Then it looks like BNINE, Korean War, February 1924, and passed away in 1970. Thank you for your service. Here we have some more field stones. There's the field stone. Another field stone. Love the tree stump. And here is another field stone. So we have field stones marking graves, and that's all that we see to it. Back in this tree here, no, I'm sorry, it's this tree over here. We have some more. I hope you can see it. I'm hitting the sun wrong. We have another family plot underneath that big fir tree there. It's the Bodie family. And here we have some more graves that are marked Hunter Service. And this is Joe Hinton, 1933, 1973. And Bobby Joyner, 1964, 1974. And then back in these trees here, we have some more graves back in here. I hope you can see them. I'm not going to go in there because I don't know about the stone. It looks like Bat's family from this grave here. Oh, something has set my sinuses off. Isaac Jones, 1941 to 1994. And these are more of the handwritten tombstones. Emma Jones, 1913, 1989. It is really a lovely little cemetery. It's a mixture of what it is. And right beside the Jones tomb here, or not tomb, slab here, there's a unmarked grave. You can see where the dirt's piled up, and there were flowers there, but there's no marker. A lot of times, like you'll see over here, until they get a tombstone up, they'll leave the funeral homes metal placards. But if they don't get a tombstone up fairly quickly, those placards wash off with the weather. And this one is one beautiful angel there, if you can see that, praying. And this is Mary Henderson, born in 1922 and passed away in 1978. And all around you see example after example of the tomb graves, vault graves, I'm sorry. This one even has the handles on it. And then there's another one. I thought this one was interesting because if you look at the top of this one, it almost looks like tire tracks were put into it. And this is a Kenneth Ray Diggins, 1959 to 2010. I think that is the newest one out here. Some more of the vault graves. And if you look back here, you can see the picket fence that I was telling you about, and it goes all the way down to that corner where I believe it is at the cemetery ends. Somebody keeps the grass cut out here. This is a Dr. Chester L. Batts, born in 1949, passed away in 1984, a young man, in loving memory of our son. And then this is Mr. Batts, 1918-2001, and Mrs. Batts, 1920 to 2009. And then we have a Herman Lorenza Graham, 1938, 2019, beloved husband, father, and grandfather. I'm sorry, I got off the camera. Now back in this corner, I'm going to take you back here as we're getting ready to wind up this video and show you this. These are all handwritten placards on these graves. And none of them are extremely old. You know, this one is 1987. And I don't know how good you're going to be able to see these because the sun is right over my shoulder. And you've got some back here. And I don't know what might be back there in the woods because I have found some. Like if you'll look there at that one, it goes back under the trees. And there may be some more back in the tree line there. And here we have some more. These are battles. These are the Battle family. This whole area right here was battles. There's another. All of these are either slabs or vault graves. And here we have the Virgin Mary. This one I could not even make out. And this is Annie. Looks like Annie Battle Dawkins, January 1936, December 2014, John 3:16. Once again, handwritten tombs or handwritten tombstones. And here we have another one. And see, I have no way of knowing which way this grave is laying. So when I step, I'm not being disrespectful. It is just the nature of the cemetery. But this is Rufus Earl Jordan II, U.S. Army, Vietnam, 1949. Thank you for your service. So this is a lovely little cemetery out in the country. I just happened upon it. I was going to Greensville the other day and I saw the tombstones. And if I see a tombstone, I'm going to stop. Y'all know that. And then I came back to film it. This looks like Lamika Renee Dawkins, 1987, 2011, just a young woman. Now, I thought this one was a bit unusual. I have not seen this before. I've seen where the weather's worn it off. But this tombstone looks like everything has been scraped off. The placards are off the front and the pictures are off the front. The nameplates are not legible. So I don't know what the story is behind this one. But as you can see, this is a lovely cemetery out here in the country, beautiful yellow flowers, several veterans out here. If you know what the hunter service means, please comment below and let me know so that I will know. And thank you, families, for letting me visit. May you rest in peace. And for the families of the military, thank you for your service. And y'all have a very unique day. Thank you for joining me today. And we'll see you on the next Uniquely Cindy adventure. Like, comment, subscribe below, ring that notification bell, and have a great day.